Hello everyone, True Zero Emissions here. Okay, so I'm charging the... Oh, I'm so happy with this motorcycle. I just have to say I'm so happy with this motorcycle. It's a 2016 Zero SR. It's an electric motorcycle. It goes about 125 miles on a full charge. It has excellent range. I ride it around on sport mode, and what's great about sport mode is the it uses the motor as a brake. So I love that it saves the brake pads when I have it set that way. So when I let off the accelerator, it slows down really quick. And if I touch the brake, not even engaging the hydraulic brakes, if I just tap the brake enough to make the brake light come on, it engages the motor as a brake, which puts some charge back in the battery. But charging the battery that way is not what I love about it. What I love about it is it saves my brake pads. Anyone that says it charges my battery, that's wonderful if that makes you happy. But then you have people saying, no, it doesn't. It only puts 1% back in there, 1 to 5%. You know what? I don't care if it puts 0% in the battery. I like that it puts 100% savings on not having to replace my brake pads. So I just want to put that out there because it seems like people completely miss that. The fact that when you have really powerful regenerative braking, it saves your brake pads completely. So now this video, I want to talk about the charging. I'm using the Roger charger. I have 3 Roger chargers right now. This is my old Roger charger. I think it's called version 3, which that charger was putting out 2,500 watts. Okay, I've charged my Dualtron Thunder 2 at, I think, around 2,500 watts. Now, this one below it is a V4. It's the newest version. I haven't tested that yet. I will test it soon. So I was calculating that I can power 4,000 watts into that plug in the back there. You see that plug back there? We can run 4 quick chargers, which are 1,000 watts each. They're about $700 each, I think, about $700 each for 1,000 watts, right? This Roger charger, I don't remember the exact price. I think it's less than $400, but the prices change, okay? So it could be more, it could be less. I'm going to say around 400. Contact Roger, and if you look up Roger charger, you'll see videos that are showing the Rogers chargers, and there'll be a link in there, a link that you can use to join the Telegram group. Telegram is an app, okay? Telegram. It's an app that you can use, and it's a free app, and it works very well, and there's over 1,300 members in the Roger charger group. It's really a library of information in there. Not just about the charger, but there's a lot of people that ride the electric unicycles in there. Some people don't care about anything but electric unicycles. Roger seems to be open, and not just open, but supportive of all micromobility or anything that can use his chargers. So no matter what you want to use this charger for, Roger himself is supportive of it. There might be some jokes that might be perceived as being condescending by some of the other electric unicycle community, but I think they're just being playful. I really think that. I don't think they actually hate everything that's not an electric unicycle. So I'm just putting that out there because it's just something that I was thinking about. Now, of myself, I like all alternative transportation, all of it, okay? Automobiles never made sense to me. When I see one person driving a 4,000-pound automobile, that just never made sense. Ever since I first learned about transportation, that never made sense to me. What makes sense to me is if you have a lot of people that you need to move, that makes sense to have a big vehicle to move people. Now, there's safety in a vehicle. Yes, motorcycles, the statistics are, like, for example, a motorcycle, there's a 3,800% increase. That's a percentage, 3,800% increase of chance of getting injured on a motorcycle compared to an automobile, right? What can change that number, though? Taking the courses, right? The CHP has courses that train the motorcycle rider how to be safe, right? So I highly recommend those courses. I'll make some videos about that and show you how to get signed up for that. I will say that if you want to learn about the courses, the simplest way I can tell you is to contact in the city of Glendale, California. there's a Harley Davidson dealership there that has that works with those courses. Okay, so you can actually sign up through there. That's the simplest way I can tell you. Otherwise, there's a website, and there's a long list of classes, and then what class do you choose? So I just chose the first one that in that class lowers your insurance for your motorcycle. It what else does it do? It teaches you a lot of safety tips, a lot of safety tips. Anyway, going back to the charger, I have no idea what I'm going to call this video. It's kind of like an update video about the motorcycle altogether, right? And motorcycle safety. I mean, it's difficult for me to focus on just talking about one thing, because I like to share everything that's on my mind as it relates to what I'm doing right now, which is the motorcycle. And yes, earlier I made a video about crowdfunding. I think it's called crowdfunding, to put a charger on the motorcycle somehow where it can act as a range extender, right? That could be solar panels. Like pull a trailer with 3,000 watts of solar panels. What do you think that would do, right? I'm only taking 28 watt hours per mile to move this. So how many solar panels do I need to sustain the motorcycle at low speed, right? Maybe I could ride it without end in the cities if I pull a trailer, and I can pull a trailer on a motorcycle. And I'm interested in finding out about registering the motorcycle as an experimental category. It seems like it's really easy, and there's a lot of support. I don't know if it's easy or not, but I've heard my whole life about experimental airplanes. And I think it only costs a couple dollars I researched this on the internet, and it said it only costs a few dollars to get experimental status on an airplane. Now there may be other expenses involved. I don't know. I was reading into it. Now, when it comes to like experimental status for your automobile, a car you make yourself, or something you're doing experiments on it, I don't know how that works. I do want to find out about it though, right? So right now I'm using the Roger charger. Now here's what's interesting. To make now I'm going into the same plug in the back there. See that plug in the back? That's for the quick charger, right? So I just put a couple plugs in there, like Robert's Computer Hospital. I think he's in Eagle Rock, California. You can look him up on Google if you have questions for him. He likes to do Robert's Computer Hospital. He does a little bit of everything, so I'm kind of advertising for him right now by mentioning him. He's busy 24 hours a day. That guy is so busy, I can't believe it. We are going to build an infinite power supply. That's what he calls it, which is just tapping into the 0-point field. We can probably call it a 0-point module, but everything's a 0-point module. There isn't anything that's not tapping into the field, right? Everything taps into the field. So I'm just looking for my books right now. I have a book called The Field. It's literally called The Field. Anyway, we're going to build an infinite power supply also. That's something we're going to work on. And when he has time, but he never has time, right? He hasn't had any time in the past how many years? So going back to this project here, yes, I'm interested in extending the range on this, but I'm also interested in charging it faster. And those chargers, now if you want to get the proper charger for this, go for it. If you have the money. Those chargers cost around, I think they're around approximately $700 each. They could be less, they could be more. Check for yourself. They're called a Q charger, I think is what they're called, quick charger. I think it's called daisy chain. You can daisy chain those chargers. They put out 1,000 watts each. They're a pretty good size, but I already have 3 of these Roger chargers, and just the bottom one by itself is putting out approximately 4,000 watts. Now that charger down here, I haven't tried this one yet. This one's putting about 2,500 watts maximum, right? Right now I'm only putting 5 amps on there. So that's not a lot of power. It's like 500 watts. But just adding that extra 500 watts, or whatever it is, let's see, it's 5.36 times 110, right? That's the voltage. That would give us our watts. By doing that, though, it lowered the charge time significantly. See where it says 1 hour and 9 minutes right there? That was double that before I plugged that in. So it cut my charging time in half compared to when I have this plugged in by itself, which this is just a computer cord that's really thick. It's the same kind of plug though, but it needs to be thick, right? It has to be, or it'll get real hot. It has 1,300 watts going through there. Let's double check that. Oh yeah, 1,400 watts. There it is right there. Let me light this up for you. It's 1,392 watts. That's approximately 1,400 watts going in from that plug. when I hooked up this Roger charger, the charge time went down by over 1 hour. It dropped. So that's an hour less of waiting. That's really great. Now, right now I'm running these two chargers off a different circuit from one another because I accidentally had them both plugged into the same circuit, and it blew the breaker. I mean, it tripped the breaker. So I had to turn the breaker back on. And then I realized, let me find another circuit to plug that in, because that means I can do 1800 watts there, 1800 watts there maximum, approximately, right? So I was going at 10 amps. I had that up to 10 amps. Right now I don't want to push it again, so I'm not going to try to go for 10 amps. I just went for 5 amps, and that made a significant difference. What I can also do is I can actually use more than one of these. So I can use this one and this one, which would be 4,000, 6,500, right? Because this is 4,000, that's 2,500. And I have another Roger charger as well, which is one of these. I think it's a V2 actually, which should put out, I don't know if it's 2,000 watts or what the exact wattage of that one is. I'd have to check. But all I have to do is have more plugs that go into there, right? So these plugs, by the way, that are going in there, now that plug was not on, it wasn't hot until I plugged this in. So to make that plug hot, I plug this in, and that becomes live, and then I can use the Roger charger. Now, I read that the other way I can do it, if I don't want to use this plug to make that hot live in the back, is I can turn the key on, and if I turn the key on, that will also make that live. I read that. And then we can plug that in directly instead of using this and this. But why not use that? Why not use all the chargers I can, right? Now, there's another plug here that's right here. I covered it up with some Amazon's version of gaffer tape. It's their version of it. I'm calling it that. And because it costs less, but the price has almost doubled from when I originally bought it. I think it was around $10 originally, and now it's like $19. I'm like, wow, how did that happen? I guess it's getting more popular, but it's still less than some of the higher, more famous names, and it's actually costs more now than some other names. So people that are buying for the first time that are just looking for the lowest price might find a better price now somewhere by looking around. I always thought Amazon Basics was going to give us the best price no matter what, but I guess with enough people buying something, maybe the supplies, maybe the quality is costing them more. That could be it too, because it's a good quality. I like it. It does leave a little bit of residue though, which is the reason I like gaffer tape, gaffer tape's known for not leaving a residue. So the Amazon Basics gaffer tape that I'm using, it's not called gaffer tape, but I'm calling it their version of it. It does leave a little bit of residue, so I hope they can, I might have to contact Amazon and let them know that it's for feedback, because they like to get feedback. So I'm mentioning it here. As of this date, it's still leaving a residue, and I'll mention that to Amazon as well. Just to show you the tape I'm talking about. Let's see if I can get the tape out here. It's really not that easy to get out. I got so much tape here. Apologies, I wasn't exactly ready to show this tape. Okay. This is the tape I'm talking about. See if I can get this to focus better. See how it says Amazon Basics? I try to buy everything in Amazon Basics because it's cost less. Look how much I'm getting though. It's 3 inches wide by 90 feet. See that? But this is leaving a little bit of residue. But it's a really good tape. I don't like that it leaves a residue though. I'm not happy with that, because that was what I was trying to get away from. This is the roll I'm using right now. But it's still really good. And if the price keeps going up though, I will switch back to there's a couple other companies that are famous for making really good quality gaffer tape, and I think Gaffer is a name. Like that might be one of the companies. It's literally called Gaffer tape. That tape, it's so strong, it doesn't leave a residue, so you can use it, and then when you pull it off, it doesn't leave anything sticky. At least the last time I used it, but it costs. Last I checked, it costs a lot more. But if you have the budget for it, it's a really good tape, and you can try it out. So I bought some spray paint here, and I chose to go with a new company. I was told this company just started making paint. And why did I choose this when it costs the same price as a company that's been around for a really long time and is famous, and everyone at Home Depot that I was talking to, I talked to different people, was saying the same thing. Get the other one, get the other one. Why did I get this? The main reason, part of the main reason is, when I looked this up and I was researching it, it said UV resistant. This will not break down in direct sunlight. Now, the other can, which I'm not saying the name of it, but I'm just going to say it's a famous name, it didn't say UV resistant. It said indoor, outdoor. If something says outdoor on it, I want to see it say it's UV resistant. I want to see that in writing. This had it in writing, not on the can. I don't know if it's on the can or not, but when I read it on the website. So I've seen what the sun does to things, especially zip ties. I've seen zip ties that are not UV resistant. Okay, when I get zip ties, I always buy UV resistant zip ties. Do you know how many zip ties I use? I use hundreds and hundreds of zip ties every year, right? Hundreds and hundreds. As you can see, look at the zip ties here. It's holding all this together here. Look, it's holding everything. You know what would happen to all this stuff in a very short time period of the sun hitting it? It would become brittle and just crack. This whole thing would go flying off the motorcycle. I cannot have that happen. Okay, these zip ties are extremely strong, and they're not even, as you can see, they're not being pushed to the max at all. They're all just lightly tightened, but together they're very, very strong. And I use zip ties on 99.99% of my projects, if not 100%. There's a zip tie somewhere, okay? Now that's just for testing purposes. This, as I progress in my projects, I will end up making things more permanent. But at least to start, I begin with zip ties just to see how it looks, to see how it functions, things like that, right? It's a good way to test things. Now this is my favorite double-sided sticky tape. I literally went into Home Depot a long time ago, many years ago, and said, what's the absolute strongest double-sided sticky tape you have? And they said, this is Mega Roll. I use so much of this. I use this double-sided sticky tape. Look at that, 3M. Anything that says 3M on it, excellent, excellent. Again, doesn't leave a residue. Sticks extremely strong, okay? But when you're done, you can just roll it off like this with your finger. You just push it like that and it rolls up and rolls right off. On rare occasion, if it's been on there for a long time, it might not roll off as easy. But compared to other double-sided sticky tape that I've used, it's like really, really good. So that's all I get now. So I'm planning to paint definitely the tank, okay? Hope you can hear me right now, because I know that fan is very loud. I'm not even noticing it, but I know it's loud. So I hope you can hear me. I'm planning to paint the tank. I'm calling it a tank. It's there's no fuel in there. It's just air. But we all know how much energy is in air, right? In space, in the space that is occupied by where air exists, right? As Nassim Haramein said, and Einstein, and Caltech professor for 38 years, Richard Feynman, and Nobel Prize winner, and also John Wheeler. There's infinite energy at every point in space, and there's infinite points in space. So anyway, there may not be any gasoline in here, but in the area that is here, there's infinite energy everywhere, right? So I could maybe put, there's empty space in here. I could literally put like I could put my little 0-point module in there, right? My little 0-point module could be in there that can act as a range extender, right? And I'll do that. And I'm going to be crowdfunding for the 0-point module. I'm calling